Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, another wondrous, another magical, dare I say, no, not really, but Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. We will be having ourselves a 1v1 right here on Langalaskia in the winter. We shall be watching Bryan of the Soviet Union, fighting for the 20th Guards Rifle Division, standing up with the Special Rifle Command right off the bat versus incredible Fahu fighting for Germany, Deutschland, and the 190th Infanterie Division. And interesting enough, we're seeing no conscripts here, so it's obviously either aiming something rather heavy here, either penal troops or is it snipers. That would definitely be some rather unusual stuff here. But then again, I mean, Special Rifle Command starts are a bit rarer. And so far, in fact, he risks actually giving Fahu an initial territorial advantage at this rate, as Fahu grabs more territory, of course, right away and gets more units out on the field. And there we go, in fact, snipers are out. MG42 team is ready for a bit of a risky starter unit to go up with here, but apparently Bryan likes risky. Alternating doctrines are mechanized assault, fortified armor, and German mechanized. Bit of a nice mix there, and older human guards motor from Bryan. So that's definitely interesting. We're noting here already a second sniper team. This is definitely some high risk potential for high yield play here by Bryan, opting for something that can actually do a lot of damage, but also can very easily risk getting wiped out if he's not bloody careful. Additional gunners arriving here, slowly securing territory, but definitely he will be falling a bit behind Fahu here. Fahu also noting here, getting the munitions point first before the fuel point. Interesting enough, snipers taking up hold here in their funny little hats. Second sniper team arrives in less funnier hats, but moving out.
We took it. Don't let us freeze here.
Slowly advancing here. Bit dangerous work here again, as I've noticed of, how not to use MGs. This is all stuff in my. He's been encountering a conscript sport here. He could have run into some serious trouble. Still, he ran into snipers. Hardly that much better. Of course, you really see a result here. Of course, it's a retreat, and that would have happened either way. So, in general, not perhaps the wisest move by Fahu there. Less than incredible. Also, knowing some early mines. The mine placement here, I mean, great, but I'm not sure why here would have been better, or perhaps closer to the fire, yeah, let us go warm ourselves by the fire, and then, what is this going click? Boom! So, some ideas there. Well, we see here, perhaps what is a quick reaction. I mean, it's not necessarily, but usually, I mean, one of my first reactions, actually, when I encounter surge snipers, is actually to go for a Granatenwerfer. And you might be asking yourself why, because, well, the mortar can fire from a safe distance at the snipers, and overall, I mean, you might not always get hit, but when you do, I mean, overall, you will have, pay dirt. Also, usually, I mean, particularly on a map like this, but there's usually areas they tend to move across more than others. Nice move there, firing off, but usually, I mean, for example, I mean, here is one sort of usual area where they move through, and here, and then usually if you then bombard it, you can actually force the snipers to be a lot more careful than they always have to be. We're seeing here following up here with some Guards Rifle Infantry. Now this, of course, is rather interesting sort of startup from the Soviet players, and it's rather reminiscent of, the sort of strategy Mats employed in a 2 versus 2 from companies. One goes from lots of support units of some kind, and then relies on the infantry. In this case, he's actually relying on Guards Infantry as his infantry. So again, some rather high-yield units, and he's rather opting to, or hoping he can sort of push through with fewer but more powerful units, doing a lot of damage. And in the case of the Guards Riflemen covering up against scout cars as well. And that's also why you might be noticing some of the mines, at least here, are set up the way they are to catch these scout cars. This one again, I'm still not quite making the sense of. Also, the position of Fahu's mortar is a bit bad. I mean, it's not going to cover most of the center area of the map, which is a bit of unfortunate. And again, it's not really leaving them covered. I mean, usually much here is a much better place to place up your mortar. Can cover a much larger chunk of the map overall, and also again stay much safer without getting shot at directly. So, not highly advisable that there. And we are in fact seeing the 221 arriving here. In fact, he's getting a second Leichte Panzerschwerwagen arriving. So he's really hoping to catch those snipers. Interesting. He's just bombarding here with the mortar, hoping to catch the snipers, but instead catching the guards rifle infantry. The snipers in fact operating over here. He probably shouldn't be sending the scout car towards the guards rifle infantry, you know, just as a side thought there. Grenadiers in a bit of trouble. And there we go, half the Grenadiers got wiped out. And again, if the scout cars were to run after them, they might have a chance of wiping them out. Grenadiers forced to retreat, and mortar continue to rain down death from above. Guards rifle make a steady advance here through the deep snow. And there we go, makes a nice hit there. Scout cars having to catch the snipers but not quite succeeding. Instead catching some combat engineers. Leaving his one MG40 to guard the fuel point over there. An interesting move by Fahu. Guards rifle inside the house there need to be a bit careful. Scout cars moving in need to be also careful. A bit reckless, and I mean there's no real reason for him to move in like that right now. So I'm not entirely sure why he insisted on doing it. Also looks like the gunner got killed. Mortar so far actually doing quite alright here. The mortar, the guards rifle active providing some nice tasty experience bundles here, in particular in the building along, and the mortar active quickly veteran react. Snipers and covered here by guards rifle infantry, certainly ensuring that there's no chance of them now being caught by a scout car. But again, already here, 3 squads of guards riflemen. That's definitely quite a bit of upkeep they will be having on him. Mortar sending up here. Fahu needs to be careful that again. Here, again, something shielding it from direct fire is usually the better choice. In particular when you've got snipers around. I mean, then you otherwise risk half the mortar crew being gone in second. Guards rifle here running a bit of trouble with the scout car. Sniper looks like not coming like that. It looks like a mortar hit actually. Hit one of the snipers, lovely, but the Grenadiers need to retreat. Fahu needs to play a bit more carefully. Definitely not, in some cases, the soundest disposition of units, particularly with that mortar.
It is secure.
Slowly advancing with the MG42 up the left flank. Scout car and pioneers falling back as the guards rifle with snipers and turrets pulling back. But of course, note now this mortar is definitely much closer to veteran 2, and this sniper's down one man and thus much more likely to get wiped out. Panzer grenade right, but again, one volley and that's half the squad. Fahu needs to get them out of there. Or is he going to counter catch the sniper still? Retreat! Oh, that right there was a bit of a daft mistake by Fahu. But there we go, caught one sniper there who was bombarding the sort of path who perhaps over there might pull through. Good job there. Do not underestimate the power of a well-handled mortar. Guards rifle near taking some nasty casualties. Need to be careful with his own mortar. No, careful. Generally you want to sort of try and avoid going through the same area you sort of have the enemies fighting in if you have a mortar. So to sort of minimize the risk of friendly fire. Just a little helpful suggestion there. Mine up there this time actually closer to the fire pit. That's actually not a bad idea. Rifle grenade in. He was perhaps expecting the opponent to move in there, but the guard rifleman holding up here in the created area. Left by the mortars. Sniper opening up there down to one sniper. Certainly going to hamper him a bit initially. And mortar, if he can hit veterans, he also knowing here, clumping up his guards rifle, he definitely needs to be very careful about that, and with a mortar round. Definitely Bryan here being perhaps a bit reckless. He could easily risk, suffering huge casualties from the mortar, which could easily be game-changing in this case, but the mortar now needs to get away. Granat in Werfer needs to pull back. Certainly the guards rifle now laying down an awful lot of fire here against the German infantry. For the moment. Tougher than your average grenadier. As well. And we go, snipers arriving. Interesting enough, no light machine guns here for Bryan. No light machine guns. Also, Fahu is floating an ungodly amount of munitions. You could consider some light machine guns which would help against the guards riflemen quite considerably. Also, lots of mounts going down here from Bryan, and also noting now the pattern seems to be more around the fire pits, hoping to draw his opponent to them. Panzers getting blasted. Need to retreat.
Ready for anything.
Need indirect fire?
Mortar continuing to fire away. Grenadiers pushing ahead. He's likely going to catch those snipers. And there we go. Sprinting away. Grenadiers forced to pull back. Fahu's definitely on the back foot now. Over to Bryan. Again, note all the guards riflemen. But also note now we are seeing a second sniper on the way. You also know that he's clearly thinking about getting a T-30-45 that way, lying again on fewer but more elite units to apply a lot of pressure here to Bryan. Though, of course, at the same time, the mortar does present him with some trouble, since again, he can prove quite hazardous to such formations. And there we go, Veteran C2.
The territory is in our
One grenade there went off without actually doing much except kicking up snow. Panzers need to retreat again. Fahu needs to be careful with them.
Desert conditions are now in effect.
MG42 slow advancing there, needs to recover territory over here and connect things. A bit of a siege going in here from his opponent. Fahu might also want to sort of slowly move the scout car ahead. This MG42 in fact risks some problems here with the snipers.
Engineer standing by.
But a blizzard has set in. Might have him accidentally walk into the MG42's line of fire if he's not careful. Slow advance over here. Guards riflemen taking up defensive position within the house, trying to some support here for the other guardsmen. And by the sound of it, we do have, there we go, some light machine guns are up, in fact. Mortar fires away, though, which leads to turn this support position into a bit of a mess. First shot only blasts the roofs open. Bit unfortunate there for the owners. And there we go, MG42 needs to pull back. Quick swoop. Mine went off. And he actually, oh, he isn't paying attention. There we go, MG42 lost. Veterans use scout car abandoned. This is not looking good. Fahu again needs to sharpen up a bit on things. Definitely not the best handling of your MG42 right there. Mortar fire continues. And getting a heavy mortar himself, perhaps to sort of deal with Fahu's mortar by now, having had enough of that nonsense. Also, he might want to build a fire pit over here for this gunner so they don't freeze to death. There we go. Gutes Arbeit. Support armor core following up. Still a bit of way there from the T-30-45s. Gunners need to be properly reinforced. More mines up. He's definitely been consistent about them. That is good. Snipers moving out in pair again with heavy mortars sitting about in the same area. Don't hang around the mine. Don't hang around the mine. Very much going off with you around it. Grenadier need to pull back. Rückzug. Come on, Fahu. Unit preservation. Very close to this getting everything wiped out, in fact.
The sector is at risk.
Again, here is a good spot for the mortar. For some reason, Fahu seems not very interested in it. And he's almost wiped out there from the first hit. Needs to retreat. Snipers blaring away, but none of them actually managing to hit. Good job, Fedorov.
Blizzard is passing.
And a bit of fire here, hoping to catch the snipers. And there we go. Again, need to be careful about, climbing up the units, snipers included, when there's a mortar around. And there we go. Veteran C3 from this. That seems was a Veteran C2 sniper that was killed there. Coming under counterfire there from the Soviet heavy mortar.
The territory is in our hands. Conditions clear. The blizzard is gone.
Little infantry going on from Fahu, and looks like he might be getting some Panzerkampfwagens out here to support him. Guardsmen making their way up the left side, and we're noting mines up here. Perhaps a bit worried again about something, trying to hunt down his own units. German mortar firing away with increased range now. Guardsmen advancing straight into the Panzergrenadier. Not been too good. That bun grenade as well. Does the trick a bit. He might end up losing some guardsmen right there if he's not careful, or at least more than is what is healthy. Veteran to the spot, we do see a grenade as well. Panzer is almost wiped out of that one, though the guardsmen seem to have lost a bit as well. No idea why Fahu's actually setting up this mortar there. That one doesn't actually make any sense. That's generally not a good mortar placement. In particular, I mean, if you set it up here, the veterancy fleet, he can actually cover all the way up to the entrance of the enemy's base. I mean, here he can bombard his opponent's base, but clearly he's not even intending to do that. So why he's doing that is beyond me. It's right there, of course, he now exposes his veterancy 3 mortar to the opponent's snipers. Overall, that's actually a pretty poor decision here by Fahu. But time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation is Fahu is though gaining ground again. The sort of strategy employed here by Bryan is starting to encounter some hiccups. The fact that again it's a rather manpower intensive strategy isn't something actually looking a bit drained, and again the mortars are proving to be a bit of a nuisance, although again thanks here to Fahu's blunder, a rather severe tactical one in fact, and again I have absolutely no idea why you think to do that, resulting in the snipers getting a nice cheap easy target and cutting down again a veterancy 3 mortar crew like that. Hardly inspiring. Of course, he's got the heavy mortar as well, so he's definitely got some units here to pressure down on Fahu, and so that could prove one issue. But we are seeing a Panzerkampfwagen 3 out. There's still some time for the T-34-85s, and that means the Panzer IV really has a chance of doing some serious damage here to Bryan. In particular, since his guardsmen are either depleted or rather spread out on the field, thus it's showing he can't really sort of get maximized fire effect towards his opponent, although again 3 guardsmen squads and then perhaps a marked target and a bit of budding could actually prove a threat here to the Panzer IV if sort of properly angled. But right now he basically needs to get up these and get some tanks out, otherwise again he very much runs the risk of basically Fahu trampling down here with his Panzer, perhaps getting another Panzer IV up. At the same time, there are of course other considerations. More mines would be good, and of course at the same time he perhaps needs to stop perhaps mining a bit and actually getting up for marked vehicle. Otherwise, you know, secure that mortar, get yourself some additional artillery, and he can actually put some severe pressure on Fahu with 2 mortars, 1 medium, 1 heavy. As for what Fahu can do, and also here victory points are reasonably sort of stable, also in terms of damage, reasonably equal, although Bryan really has taken the toll on him, you know, with almost twice as many kills. That's again hardly impressive, but also sort of, you know, shows how powerful this can be. But again, you know, also again in terms of, you know, damage done, also in terms of map control, shows, you know, it's not completely impossible. But again, you know, some of these things happen also basically due to some rather middling tactical failures and not really good moves there by Fahu, which again left his units open to snipers. Again, I mean, when you're finding snipers like that, you should be extremely careful about, you know, sending out units on their own, in particular support units, because they are very much prime targets for such a sniper unit here. And currently, I mean, we can really see that Fahu needs to build up a force again. He needs more infantry, and also at this stage he should be figuring out, oh wait, my opponent has a heavy mortar, my opponent has guards rifle infantry, he's gone for guards motor. I've seen nothing else except guards infantry, a heavy mortar and snipers. He's clearly ignored everything else and is currently rushing towards T-34-85s. I should probably get something more that can help deal with it. And also, in particular, considering the current situation, I should probably aim for a Stug to support my Panzer IV. A pack would be too exposed against snipers, at least considerably exposed, and would thus have a bit of a dubious effect, since again, there's very much the risk that a few volleys and that's gone, though again, it could be gone for if properly placed. But the Stug rolls behind this Panzer IV would of course be able to lay down a murderous fire, and of course afterwards, you know, help support the infantry against other infantry. So there are definitely some ideas to getting a Stug or another Panzer IV, but the Stug would be a lot closer in terms of fuel and also a bit cheaper in manpower, again allowing him to save up for resources elsewhere. But again, right now he needs to sort of replenish his infantry and then sort of either get a Stug or a Panzer IV, and that way prepare for the 2 T-34s that's go 85s that will be incoming and about to make things really painful. Also, he needs to bloody well stop placing his support weapons out in really, really stupid places. I mean, that's really one thing that's hurting. And right there, of course, we now see a guards rifle squad with an MG42, which is not really what you want to be happening, since that's going to be one durable MG crew with some nice rifles to support it up. But back to Bryan, back to the fight. Panzerkampfwagen in support the Infanterie Division slowly makes its way.
Supply sector under attack.
Grenadiers sent running. Not sure what he's doing with the MG42 here.
We have the point.
And Panzer IV spots it. Yeah, for some reason they always set up, so actually you have to be careful about setting up like that, otherwise you very much risk, you know, bigger problems. And there we go. Took some nasty goals there from the Panzer IV. Guard drive opening up there in the rear of the armour. Doing a nice bit of damage there. And there we go. Veteran 2 increasing the accuracy, but also the penetration of the weapon. I'm pretty sure it applies not just to the anti-tank rifles, but also to the other weapons, actually making them more overall effective against German infantry. Oh dear, a few units come down there by the fence. Point blank firing, we're seeing Panzers, we're seeing all the guards infantry now arriving here to deal with it. Mark vehicle also going up. And there we go, the Panzer IV is actually taking quite a bit of damage from this, almost down to half health already. For some reason the guards infantry did not take up the position right there in the building. Apparently they seem to be ignoring it. Quick run grenade. And the Panzer gun is actually now set to take up position in the building. Opening up here, point blank versus the guards. Gaining veteran 2. Guards from actually continue pushing past the Panzer gunners. I'm not entirely sure what Bryan is thinking here. He's actually laying up to make themselves easy targets, and the Panzer gunners are definitely having a field day from inside the building. Ach ja, it's like a shooting gallery. Except these got assault rifles, and the other bastards don't. Well, usually the enemy doesn't have weapons in the shooting gallery, but you know. Also, light machine gun here drop down would be a nice thing for the Grenadiers to pick up. But the Panzer IV took down, so that was really a bit of a floundered assault right there by Bryan. I mean, he easily popped some units in the building, denied to the Germans again to fight away, much safer at the Panzer IV, then moved some guards, dropped some assault sites, and then blast away. That would probably make things a lot more dangerous for Fahu, but for some reason, it never really seemed to cross Bryan's mind. I mean, again, we're not dealing with high-tier play here, but nor are we dealing with, you know, novice play. So, you know, again, the middling thing, where there are some interesting ideas, but again, there are some flaws in execution and some rather unfortunate tactical decisions here and there. I mean, the basics are understood, and so not that there are some grasps at greatness, but there are clearly also some flaws, some things that could easily be improved upon. And there we go, finally some leichte Maschinengewehr for the Grenadiere. And again, grabbing that one would also help. Snipers moving about here, need to be careful. Also noting our Mittelschützenpanzerwagen up. There we go, Grenadiers quickly suffering, needs to retreat. Rückzug, and there we go. 2 T-3045s moving in.
We are losing territory.
A dash of more stalwart Soviet armor.
Sniper here. Ready!
That could easily prove a problem for the Panzer IV. There we go. And there we go, gaining veterans 1 and quickly blitzing out of there. Getting away from the T-3045s. Also noting Mark vehicle up. I mean, we really see Bryan here popping every chance out of getting it. Rolling in, a bit blindly, no infantry support. Which was not entirely uncommon for the Soviets, although, I mean, usually they had infantry support for it, but the thing was, usually the tanks would continue on regardless of what happened to the infantry. That was actually, in fact, a German tactic. Separate the tanks from the infantry, then they blast up the tanks afterwards. Once they were much more vulnerable without any infantry support. And there we go. 1 T-3045 tank continuing ahead. Flammenpanzerwagen down, but he's going to lose T-3045 right here. That was definitely a mistake right there by Bryan. Again, he should have pulled back. Instead, he rushed with a damaged tank straight at the Panzerabwehrkanone. Only 1 T-3045 survived this engagement. He did get a Flammenpanzerwagen. I mean, it was not a complete waste, but, you know, I'd hardly call it an equal exchange in this case. And also forced back the Panzer IV, which, by the way, needs good benefit from more Panzers. But there we go. Now, in fact, we are seeing the pack getting set upon by snipers. The one thing I worried about. And again, the one reason I suggested not doing it. And he's actually blitzing in the Panzer IV. Looks like he's going after the snipers. They do escape. But still, an interesting idea. Not a bad and bold maneuver. Though, of course, now coming under a lot of fire. Not just the T-45, but also the Guards Rifle Infantry. Carrying through the Panzer IV's hull. Not prepared, needs to pull away. Rückzug. Grenadiers veterans they also need to retreat. Lots of anti-tank rifles. Might be a need for the Pioneers to pick up. And Panzerabwehrkanone firing away here. Veterans to increasing rate of fire and accuracy. I believe it was the rotation speed. Using the Grenadiers to pick up the anti-tank rounds. I'm not entirely sure. I think that's a grenade again. I think the Pioneers would have been a much better choice on it, to be honest. Unless, of course, he decides to upgrade the Grenadiers with a light machine gun, or say pick up the DP over here. Heavy mortars and overall mortars continue to be a problem. The Grenadiers need to retreat. Back to Fahu, who is now going for a mechanized assault. Rather rare here. You know, usually you see it chosen within the first few minutes. It's rare you actually see there's a later choice doctrine, or later game doctrine. Though that doesn't mean it's entirely bad, but usually, I mean, you usually don't see that. They go Tiger Cold in, we'll see a lot of artillery barrage ready to punish the enemies of the Reich. T-35, by the way, could do with repairs, but he's been not got enough munitions on it. In some cases, I think he got a bit too zealous with the marked vehicle. But oh well, oh well. He should pull it back since it's far too damaging to be risked at this close to the front line. Pull back up here, and also perhaps initiate with self-repair so we can quickly get back in the fight. Also looking a bit like he might be saving up for another pair of T-35s. Tiger tanks coming in, supports infantry division as well. Bryan a lot more cautious now. The armour is beginning to sting and the mistakes are beginning to hurt. Panzer gun is leading the way here. Guardsmen in the middle of everything, and there we go. Tiger fires away, immediately ending the lives of one man, then following on the machine gun volley. Veterans for these guardsmen. Tiger's charging through, and we're just seeing here complete panic in Bryan's forces. Guardsmen forced to fall back as the Tiger advances. Heavy mortar pulls away. Just an absolute massacre right here. Anti-tank rifles left behind. Machine guns fired left and right into the retreating Soviets. Machine gun holding up the cut-off point. Guardsmen hanging about there. Tank here back at the base, trying to get away again, should have been back sooner. Note here though what happens. Fahu sees the base, but he actually doesn't go into it. And while of course looking at our perspective, we can see everything, of course, we might say, you know, well that's just silly, but again for Fahu, I mean, in companies to charging into your opponent's base generally always presents a risk since you're never quite sure what's in there. I mean, now the base building can easily hide something that can immobilize a tank or something. So, I mean, it's a lot more dangerous to wade into a base than it was previously, and less certain assurity because, again, units arrive from here, which is also good, by the way. So, I understand why Fahu is not necessarily charging in with the spirit of Germany to crush the Russian Schwein. And in fact, you know, takes up the more cautious approach, pulls back, repairs, and sort of prepares for whatever comes next. Though, again, I mean, had he done so, had he, you know, figured, well, you know, I'm not scared of these Russians, he could have driven in, called in a light artillery barrage, and probably wiped out a lot of infantry. And held probably in the mortars. Moving his little mixed mortar battery over here to the right-hand side, which is quite open, by the way. Not sure why he's actually doing that. He probably should be having them here to support an initial advance. Also, DP light machine gun here, ready for anyone to pick up for the glory of Mother Russia. But nothing like that. Another pack on the way. Interesting choice considering everything. He must feel very, very concerned about his opponent's T-3045s. And there we go, Veteran 2 buttoning down. Oh, marked vehicle again. More Veteran 2 guards again, increasing penetration further. Careful of clumping up in front of a Tiger like that. There we go. One hell of a hit. Sturmovik bent down to the MG and oh, burns up in a part of the forest. T-3045 moves in on its own. Bit of a bone assault going in here from him. But overall, I'm not entirely convinced that was a good idea. Tiger proving to be utterly lethal to infantry right there, of course. "13 kills already." And the Panzer is finding them all again. I'm not entirely sure why he placed them all the way out there. That's practically begging for something like this to happen.
Tiger.
Panzer gonna need to retreat.
Need something? Tiger ready. It's done.
Another Mittelschützenpanzerwagen out.
At our disposal.
Sorry for
Heavy Panzer, ready for orders.
Nothing to do with calling it due to the blizzard. A small blessing for his opponent, I imagine, who would, I imagine, not to be harassed by light Infanteriegeschütz. And Ghanese taking a double volley. Only one kill, but of course the heavy mortar follows up here. Again, more pioneers generally would be considered good in this case.
Ready for orders.
I suppose one pioneer is what is better than none, though again I would prefer two to sort of help with this. In particular, so they can get this eventually 2 Panzer IV back in the fight. And takes the fight to the Russians. Mines up there, basically little territory left for Bryan. Also, one problem, I mean, lots of guards infantry, but no conscripts, is he can't lay down fire pits, which means his troops are a lot less more likely to freeze to death.
It's done.
So it's actually now a lot more dependent on his engineers for doing all that, and they're kind of busy setting up mines. Again, not a bad idea. Still advancing here through the deep snow. Fortunately, again, a bit of a mid-game mistake of just basically bunching up all your units.
We are losing a sector.
Well, mid-level mistake, I suppose. In some regards. Not sure why sending his pack blind is then coming straight into time with the MD-42 taking heavy loss right there. But guards near coming up close contact there with the Panther and Tiger. Nice at the end though, actually the way he went, he actually take the far right path, not trying to punch up to the centre, but actually trying to flank out. So I mean, again, not all bad ideas here from Fahu. In that regard, he's showing some strategic flexibility, which is good. And isn't just relying on brute force to win his way through everything. The snipers here might get knocked out. Of course, there's also just an opportunity calling now light artillery on the Soviet base. Tiger tank might want to advance. And there we go, light infantry gets called in right here. Can the Soviet infantry react in time? And there we go, one sniper squad wiped out. Other Soviet infantry suffering gravely here. Once more, only one sniper left. And the Tiger just fires into the throng of mortar crews and other things, wiping out, in fact, the heavy mortar there. Veteran troop with the T-45, another pair of T-45s arriving. Might want to blitzkrieg out of this one. Mine went off there on the pack crew. And T-35s here attacking from the front. Veteran is used in hand for the Panzerkanone. One T-45 coming in down there. Panther folding up from the other side. And there we go, a victory for the incredible Fahu. Despite some blunders here and there, and a loss for Bryan, despite going for some regards, something that actually probably routed some lesser players again. Lots of snipers, lots of guards infantry in that regard. Probably thinking, I've got the perfect combination. I got snipers that quickly drains out the enemy infantry, and then I've got guards riflemen to protect against scout cars initially. Great. Of course, even had the mines good down, was actually reasonably good there, but again, he rather failed to initially count for mortars, was a bit late in getting his own, although he was a bit lucky then Fahu really made, again, that massive blunder right there with the mortar, which actually handed him another mortar, thus giving him pretty much the artillery advantage on the map. His T-35 advantage when he then called him in rather fair, because again, he rushed one in ahead, thus immediately losing one, down to one, and then again he couldn't really, leverage down that properly either. So there are definitely some problems right there for Bryan in the long run. Again, also the sort of elite force he had, or at least, veteran force with lots of guards, riflemen and snipers, also meant, he had a severe manpower drain, and also had a hard time calling in another pair. So there are definitely some problems that are beginning to show themselves in the later game as he kept fighting on. Fahu sort of, making reasonable use of maneuver, but ultimately able to overcome Bryan, who was really relying on just basically brute strength and some idea of counters, figuring him, reasonably invulnerable. And again, versus lesser players, fair enough, it might not work, but again, Fahu, though, overcame the challenge through some actually good use of the Tiger, though again, in some regards, his opponent did make it easy by, again, clumping up his infantry that much. Also, good handling of the Panther 4. I mean, I've certainly seen some players, just wasting them away, but he was actually able to keep them along for quite some time and even getting close to Veteran 3. So overall, good actually using the Blitzkrieg ability as well. Great. So, an interesting match here. Definitely some rarely seen stuff. Dual sniper start, guards rifle infantry, and some other things there. So, hopefully enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned some things from it. Hopefully you got some ideas on how to deal with snipers as well. Again, a mortar can be quite helpful, but again, just be a bit more careful with it than Fahu was. So, if you enjoyed it, why not subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If you didn't, well, why not tell me and provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.